was one of eight communities awarded the honour as part of the late Queen's Platinum Jubilee celebrations. And at the weekend, the President and future of the monarchy was captured on camera as two generations of the King and Queen Consort posed together in a new portrait taken at Buckingham Palace on the 19th of December. There are, of course, two notable absentees from the exclusive snap, with no room for the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. Tensions between the firm and Harry and Meghan remain fraught, and a sensational new biography from royal expert Angela Levin has added a fresh layer of intrigue. In her latest book, titled Camilla, Duchess of Cornwall, From Outcast to Future Queen Consort, Angela traces Camilla's rocky journey to be accepted by the royal family, of which she is now an integral and much-loved member. And in an illuminating section about the Sussexes, Angela reveals that Camilla tried to use her own experiences to warmly welcome and integrate Meghan into the firm, but shockingly, her generosity fell on deaf ears. Angela writes that Meghan seemed bored, was unresponsive and preferred to go her own way, with the result that the Queen Consort's advice landed on stony ground. And I'm delighted that Angela joins me in the studio now to discuss her very impressive new book. So, Angela, this was fascinating to me. It's almost as if it seems like Meghan, because we know she doesn't like Camilla now, and Harry doesn't really like Camilla. There's all of this talk that they're going to slag her off in their new book if it ever comes. But it almost feels like she had it in for Camilla from the start, based on your revelations.
Yes, well, I think I have something in common with Valentine Lowe at the same time, that he said that several people thought that she didn't want to settle down. She wanted to use it. And the more she was talked about and nastily or unkindly, in her view, she had a sort of lot of evidence that she wasn't being successful there. And I think that he's absolutely right. He's explained it in a very good way. But it was just you couldn't get through to her. You couldn't make it work. I remember being told by Lucia Santa Cruz, who was Camilla's friend from way back when they were in their teens, and she said that Camilla was thought that it would be very nice to invite her and Harry and herself to Highgrove, because Meghan had just written a cookery book for the Grenfell Tower ladies and gentlemen who'd been unfortunate, and so many had lost their lives. And this was all recipes from all around the world that she'd taken, and they cooked. The meal was considered of everything came from the recipe book: the starter, the middle course, the main course. And Lucia told me that Meghan wasn't the least bit interested, not the least bit grateful, nothing.
Even though Camilla had made all that effort?
Yes, she'd made all that effort, and she just didn't bother at all. So I thought that was pretty unkind.
A queen's kindness met with Meghan's silence. When Queen Camilla reached out to Meghan Markle, offering advice, empathy, and a bridge into royal life, Meghan's response was cold. Or rather, there was no response at all. According to royal expert Angela Levin, Queen Camilla tried to welcome Meghan when she joined the royal family. She offered support, a friendly ear, and the wisdom of someone who knew what it was like to be criticized by the press and misunderstood by the public. Camilla extended a hand, a gesture of compassion few in Meghan's position would ever refuse. But Meghan? She didn't just ignore the advice. She dismissed it. Completely. Angela Levin describes Meghan's behavior as unresponsive, emotionally distant, uninterested, and unwilling to learn. Camilla wasn't lecturing, she was trying to prepare her. But Meghan seemed to believe she didn't need guidance from anyone, not even the future queen. Levin says this coldness speaks volumes. Meghan didn't see Camilla as an ally, she saw her as competition. Camilla survived decades of scrutiny and came out with dignity. She understood how to rebuild a public image, how to earn quiet respect. Imagine what Meghan could have gained from that kind of wisdom. Instead, she chose isolation. She rejected the family's support, and in doing so, began a path of self-destruction that led to Megxit, public outrage, and endless scandal.
And what about the narrative around King Charles's 70th birthday?
Yeah.
There's been a lot of speculation about what went on there.
Yes, well, I was lucky enough to go there. It was 3 days after Prince Harry and Meghan's wedding, and I'd been part of CNN's team to talk through it, and got very friendly with a couple of aides at Buckingham Palace. And they rang me and said, look, I think they're coming. We're not sure because they might be tired, but if you'd like to see them again, come and join the party. So there were 6,500 people there, and it was the first of many parties because it took place in May and the King's birthday's in November. But it was all to do with his patronages. And people were very charming, and Harry and Meghan came walking just behind Camilla and Charles, smiling, laughing. Camilla held Meghan's hand in a way that was very motherly, so she wouldn't feel nervous. Anyway, Harry had said beforehand that he wasn't going to stay long because he didn't want to take the limelight from his father, although he gave a marvellous speech, which was absolutely brilliant, and very kind, nice, generous. And they said they'd go, maybe they'd stay about half an hour, 40 minutes. And they said, whenever you want to come and go, it's fine. And then I was right closer than I am to you now. At the time they said they would go. There were lots of kisses and cuddles and thank yous and very, very nice. And off they went. But that's been used somehow. It's been stretched to be the beginning of the trouble of the palace, and they claimed that they were thrown out. Well, there were no protection officers there dragging them out. Prince Charles, who was having a lovely time for his first birthday present of the birthday party for the year, wouldn't have made a fuss and done anything wrong. William wasn't there because he'd gone to Manchester because of the anniversary of the terrible event there when so many people were killed. It's absolute nonsense. I was standing right there. So why they've used that, they've twisted it somehow to being the beginning of the problem what happened. Yes.
Victims.
Yes.
And they're looking, I think you're right, they're looking for ways to be considered victims. And what is so fascinating is we just saw at the top of the item this photo that was released at the weekend, and that's very much being seen as a bit of a sign by the monarchy. Here's our future, Harry and Meghan. You could have been part of it, you're not. And so what do? They go and release their own official portrait, Angela. I mean, it just
one
feels
in
like
black and
ridiculous.
white. I thought they looked as if they wanted to be on postage stamps because they were both looking, you saw them from the side, and very serious and solemn. I just did in competition with the main royal family. They just want to squash it down in any way they can. And it seems that they can't bear it if they've got publicity, that they have to do better. Well, they didn't do better. They couldn't do better. It was an amazing picture. And it's a whole new life now that's going to happen.
This wasn't a one-time snub. As Angela Levin points out, Meghan's pattern is clear. Reject anyone who challenges her, silence anyone who advises her, and play the victim when it all falls apart. From palace aides to senior royals, the story is the same. She listens to no one but herself. And now, years later, she's left with fading influence and fractured relationships. Queen Camilla's patience and kindness only highlight the contrast between the old and the new royal order. Dignity versus defiance. Grace versus grievance. If Meghan had listened, perhaps she'd still have allies inside the palace. Instead, she has a podcast, a PR machine, and a growing list of burned bridges. Angela Levin's account paints a painful truth. Meghan Markle wasn't pushed away. She walked away. From help, from humility, from harmony. Speech balloon. Do you think Meghan regrets rejecting Camilla's advice? Or was this part of her plan all along? Drop your thoughts below. Subscribe for weekly royal analysis, uncensored truths, and behind-the-scenes royal revelations.